Bibi Zainab's words reverberate through time to this day and serves as a warning to oppressors all over the world. As we have seen, these are the ladies whose courage shaped the course of history. Each in their own unique and individual way have shown their great strength and contribution of women to our society. They are forced to be reckoned with, my friends, and I just have to see my mum to know how true that is. And I think my dad will agree too. How true that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. Today we are lovers of Ahlul Bayt, because the first thing we heard our mothers say as they stretched their hands to stop our toddler feet from stumbling was, Ya Ali Madad. Not everyone's footsteps tread the same path, and we have great admiration and awe for the courageous individuals who have shown the same freedom of thought as Lady Nergis and the other holy ladies we have just heard about. And today we have the fortune and honor to have amongst us such a personality. We have amongst us today's guest speaker, Brother Abdul Rauf. Brother Abdul Rauf reverted to Islam in 1994 from Christianity. After his reversion, he received admission into Hawza al-Qayyim, London. He was under the tutelage of the Hawza's principal Sheikh Zafar Abbas, where he was introduced to the Islamic studies and graduated in 2000. In 2002, he went to study at Islamic College for Advanced Studies, ICAS, and obtained a postgraduate diploma in Islamic Studies. In 2007, he enrolled at ICAS on the MA in Islamic Studies on a part-time basis. This was successfully completed in 2009. His dissertation was on West African Islamic history. Since his reversion, he has been engaged in numerous religious propagation programs, mostly focusing on the youth through television, seminars, summer camps, and delivering talks at Islamic centers. He is an active member in the establishment and early development of the Revert organization, the Ahlul Bayt Revert community. In addition to presenting on Ahlul Bayt TV, he's also a part-time BA lecturer at ICAS and is the Islamic Enrichment Lecturer for the A-level student at the same institution. Brothers and sisters, it gives me great pleasure to call upon our guest speaker for today, Brother Abdul Rauf, with a salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا وحبيبنا وطبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين والمعصومين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Respected elders, executive committee members, sisters and brothers in Islam, and our younger brothers and sisters as well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was asked to come and speak to you about role models in the West. Alhamdulillah, from my observations, it seems like our youngsters don't actually need this talk anyway, because alhamdulillah I see many virtuous individuals, and I'm sure that you will all grow up to be role models for other individuals in the West. However, this is a very important topic for all of us, not just the youngsters, but even us as adults. It affects everything that we do in life, even though we don't necessarily realize it. Now, what do we mean when we say a role model? A role model is somebody who is looked up to in society and is revered, respected by others. And you aspire to be like that person. So you have an individual who you look up to and you hope, whether it be now or in the future, that you may be like them. And of course, in this society, in fact any society, celebrities tend to be pinpointed as role models. And we'll get onto this a bit later. But not just celebrities, maybe not so much nowadays, but back in the day, even the local policeman was respected in society, politicians were respected in society, of course teachers are also respected in society, and probably even more important than all of these, family members, be they your parents, uncles, or even just a friend of the family who is respected. Now, it's very important, this topic. Why? Because we as human beings are programmed to find role models, to look up to somebody. In fact, an experiment was performed whereby a box was opened, but this box was opened in such a manner that some unnecessary steps were incorporated in opening this box. And it was opened in front of some chimpanzees. And when the chimpanzee was then given the opportunity to open this box, this chimpanzee opened the box, but he did so without all of the unnecessary steps. When this same demonstration was done in front of a child, the child opened the box in exactly the same way as was demonstrated, including the unnecessary steps. Now, I'm not giving you this example, this scientific study, to try and say that we are less intelligent than chimpanzees. Of course not, we are a lot more intelligent. But it shows how much we, especially as children, absorb. We will follow the example given to us almost to the letter in a lot of situations. Now, what about us, those of us, alhamdulillah, who have or who are parents? This is a very important responsibility for us. Why? Because we are, of course, the first contact with our children, and the example we set is very important. Now, you may say that this role of being a role model to your children starts when the very second that child is born. But again, according to scientists, no. This role of being an example to your children actually starts when the child has been conceived. This unborn child is learning from the parents. It is, according to some scientific experts, if a mother during pregnancy is encountering fear or unhappiness, this has an effect on the child. This child may have a characteristic of being timid or shy, and so on and so forth. Even traits, negative traits within a mother, be it jealousy or malice, according to some, this also affects how that child will be when that child is actually born. And of course, on the flip side of this, good akhlaq, good manners, honesty, integrity, this also has a positive effect on the child. Remember, we're talking about before this child is even born. And of course, yes, there are two separate entities, but they're also part of each other. They're intrinsically connected, the mother and the child. So, of course, this is very important. There are some who disagree with this, because there's this debate between nature and nurture and so on and so forth. I won't bore you with the details, especially for our younger generation. But even if we look at our hadith, we see that things like reciting Quran, dua, adhan, to the child, before that child is even born, is highly recommended. And even to communicate with this child, to call the child by the name that you intend to call the child by, giving them good advice, maybe explaining to them about the world that they will be entering into soon. We believe as Muslims that this all has a positive effect on the child. And again, according to scientists nowadays, at least most are in agreement that when it comes to a child being born, the first cries that the child makes, you can already determine what language that child is going to speak from the cries that it makes. In other words, that child has been absorbing the language spoken to him by predominantly the mother, of course, but anybody else who's around the mother at the time. And even they say that from the cries of a baby, if that child has been exposed to more than one language, you will be able to differentiate the cries of the two different languages, or however many languages that child has been exposed to. So in other words, what we're trying to say here is that the learning of the child starts from well into the womb. When this child comes into the world, as we said earlier, of course, the child starts to pick up more and more from its parents and its immediate surroundings. Another experiment that was performed was a mock grocery store was put together, and some items, many items, 73 items according to this particular study, were put into this particular grocery store. And the parents of each child had to write down, these children were between the age of 2 and 6, each parent had to write down what their shopping habits are, what they buy, healthy food, unhealthy food, so on and so forth. These children were then asked to go to this mock grocery store and pick up some items, and it was seen that the children picked up the similar items to their parents. They didn't know that, for example, wholemeal bread is more healthier than white bread, but if their parents bought wholemeal bread, they bought wholemeal bread as well. So again, we see the power of imitation and emulation. In other words, the children learn from and copy what their parents do. And of course, we have the famous saying from the Holy Prophet of Islam, Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that every newborn child is in a state of fitrah, and it is the parents that then make this child a Jew, a Christian, or a Zoroastrian, and of course in our case, inshallah, good Muslims. So parents set the example. We have to remember, those of us who are parents, that our children are like sponges. They soak up and absorb everything that they see, hear, and ponder over what they hear, and of course, in many situations, repeat what they hear as well. And this is important for us if we have any negative traits within us, to try our best for the sake of our children to try and become better Muslims. For example, if we are hypocritical, even to a slightly lesser degree, our children will pick up on this. If we say something in public, or if we appear one way in public and then when behind closed doors we behave in a different manner, your children, our children, pick up on this. So it's very important that we behave in the right way.